In life, every person faces problems. Some problems appear small, while others seem as big as mountains. Often, we try to avoid them, hoping they will disappear on their own. But problems are like shadows. The more you run from them, the longer they follow you. This story will teach us that courage is not about being fearless. It is about moving forward, even when fear is present. At the edge of a peaceful valley stood a huge mountain known as the Whispering Mountain. It was called so because strange sounds often came from its caves at night. The wind passed through narrow tunnels, creating deep echoes that sounded like angry voices. Because of this, the villagers believed that a terrible monster lived inside the mountain. Near this valley lived a small community of animals. There were deer, foxes, goats, birds, and many others. They lived happily near the river that flowed from the mountain. The water was clean and sweet, and the land was green and fertile. Among these animals lived a young mountain goat named Lumo. Lumo was not very big or strong, but he was kind-hearted and thoughtful. Whenever someone needed help, Lumo was always there. He helped birds find fallen chicks, guided lost deer back to their families, and shared food whenever he could. One summer, something strange began to happen. The river's water level slowly started to drop. At first, no one worried. They thought it was just a dry season. But days passed and the water became thinner and weaker. Soon, the river turned into a narrow stream. The animals grew worried. "This has never happened before," said an old deer. "If the river dries up, we won't survive," said a fox. They noticed that the river came directly from the Whispering Mountain. If something was blocking the water inside the mountain, it could be dangerous. But the problem was clear. To understand what was happening, someone would have to go inside the mountain. Fear spread quickly. "No one should go there," said the birds. "There's a monster inside," whispered the goats. "Anyone who enters will never come back," said the foxes. Lumo listened quietly. Deep inside, he felt afraid too. He had heard the scary stories since childhood. But he also saw the dry land, the weak animals, and the fear in everyone's eyes. That night, Lumo couldn't sleep. He stood near the riverbed, looking at the stars reflected in the shallow water. "If no one goes," he thought, "we will all suffer." The next morning, a meeting was called. All the animals gathered under a large tree. "We must decide," said the old deer. "Either we wait and hope for rain, or someone goes to the mountain." Silence filled the air. One by one, the strong animals spoke. The wild boar shook his head. "I am strong, but even I fear that place." The wolves said, "Our speed cannot save us from a monster." Even the mighty bear refused. Bravery is useless against the unknown. Finally, Lumo stepped forward. "I will go," he said softly. Everyone gasped. "You?" laughed a fox. "You are too small." "You will die," said another goat. Lumo swallowed his fear. "Maybe," he said, "but if we do nothing, we will all slowly die anyway." No one could argue with that. With a heavy heart, Lumo began his journey toward the Whispering Mountain. As he walked, every shadow looked like danger. Every sound made his heart race. Fear whispered in his mind, telling him to turn back. But he remembered the dry river. He remembered the hungry faces. When he reached the mountain entrance, cold air rushed out, carrying deep, echoing sounds. It felt like the mountain was breathing. Lumo stood frozen. "This is fear," he told himself, "not proof." Gathering all his courage, he stepped inside. The cave was dark. Water dripped from the ceiling, creating strange noises. The echoes bounced off the walls, growing louder and scarier with every step. Suddenly, a deep voice echoed. Who dares enter my domain? Lumo's legs trembled, his heart pounded. For a moment, he wanted to run, but then he spoke, his voice shaking but firm. I am Lumo. I came to save my home. The voice laughed, shaking the cave. Go back, or you will be destroyed. Lumo realized something important. The voice sounded powerful, but it never came closer. It stayed the same distance away. He took another step, then another. As he moved forward, the voice grew louder but clearer. He noticed the sound was bouncing from the cave walls. Suddenly, Lumo saw something surprising. A huge pile of fallen rocks blocked the river's path inside the mountain. Water was trapped behind it, slowly leaking through cracks. The echo was coming from water rushing through narrow tunnels, magnified by the cave. There was no monster, just fear. As Lumo examined the rocks, he saw a small creature trembling nearby, a mountain marmot. I didn't mean to scare anyone, the marmot cried. I was digging tunnels when the rocks fell. Now the water makes terrible sounds. Lumo smiled with relief. You didn't hurt anyone, he said, but the blockage must be cleared. The problem was big. Lumo alone could not move the rocks. So he ran back outside and shouted toward the valley. There is no monster, he called, only fallen rocks and echoes. At first, no one believed him, but when he returned safely, curiosity defeated fear.
Slowly, the animals followed him. First the birds, then the goats, then even the bear. Together they pushed, pulled, and removed the rocks. Water rushed freely again, flowing back into the valley stronger than ever. The river was saved. The animals stood silently, ashamed yet relieved. The old deer stepped forward. We feared something that never existed, he said, and it was a small goat who showed us the truth. From that day on, the Whispering Mountain was no longer feared. It became known as the Mountain of Courage. And Lumo learned something important. Fear grows in darkness. Courage brings light. Moral of the story. Many problems sound bigger than they really are. Fear becomes stronger when we avoid it. Courage does not mean being the strongest, it means taking the first step. When one person faces a problem, others find the strength to follow.